as variables. Okay, so what is a variable according to you? So now a variable is nothing but a variable is a container which holds the value. Okay, so why am I saying that it is a container? Now let's say if you wanted to store some water, okay, will you be able to hold it in hand? No, right? Because it just drops off from your hand and you'll not have the same quantity if you're holding it in a hand when compared to when you're saving the water in a water bottle or in a pot. Correct? So similarly, here also you have to store whatever the values that you wanted. Okay, you have to store these values in a variable. Okay, so what is a value now? 20 is also a value, or you can say ABC is the value, or you can say C is a value. Okay, so these are the values. So where you have to store it now? For this A is something which is called as a variable. Okay, and B is equal to ABC is something which I say that B is a variable and ABC is a value, and C is a variable where I have G is a value. Okay, so now if you are able to watch this, you are not able to understand what is making the difference between three of them. Okay, yes, it do makes a difference when you are using this with a specific data types. And also do remember that every statement in Java should end with a semicolon, excluding the class name when you're opening the classes on the main method. Okay, for methods and for the classes, you're not supposed to give semicolons. Let me show you some small example. Let's say if I'm giving semicolon here. See, it is throwing an error. Okay, so similarly, whatever the data values that you are giving, for that you are supposed to give semicolon for sure after you finish a statement. Now, you're not supposed to give it for methods and for the class names. Clear? Now, so to make some sense for this, variables and the data types comes into the picture. So here also you should make sure that you are ending the statement with a semicolon. Now, what is this 20 referring for? This 20 is a data type, correct? So here we have this data type. So you should say int is a data type and this is ABC. So what is this A? What is this B? What is the C? So ABC is nothing but it is a collection of characters. So what is a character here? G is a character. Okay, where you'll be having it char C is equals to G. Why? Because only one single alphabet is called as a character. Okay, so this G has been storing into the variable called as C with a data type called as character, which is char. Now, what is ABC, which is nothing but a sequence of characters, or you can say collection of characters. Then this has a data type called as string. Okay, so now I'll say data type variable where we are giving it as a value. Okay, so what we usually used to do is I used to give something like this, int A. So what is this? So int is something which is called as a data type. And what is A? A is nothing but it is a variable. Okay. Is a variable holding any value? No. Okay, so this is something which is called as declaration of a variable. Now, so we don't have not only the declaration, but we also have some another thing which is called as initialization. Okay, so what's the initialization? So initialization is nothing but you are initializing the value, which is said to be something like this. A is equals to 10. So what is this? Initializing the value. Okay, to write it in two different formats, so we are directly giving it as A is equals to 10. A is equals to 20, which means A into A, the variable declaration is already done and initialization is already done. So why am I saying declaration is done? Because value is getting stored into the variable. And why I'm saying initialization is done is because 20 ABC values are getting stored here. Okay, so this is how the variables get stored. Clear with this concept called variables? Or do you have any questions? Do let me know in the further sessions. Okay, now let's go with this another concept, which is called as we have some another concept that is to be discussed. So in this, we have local variable, static variable, and also instance variable. Okay, I'll just tell you in the further session. Yeah, but now let me go with this data types. So what is a data type according to you? So the data type which is storing only the particular kind of values. See, now I cannot use string here. Okay, why I can't use string? Because it is a number. So it is mandatory that if it is a number, you are only supposed to use the data type called as integer. If it is a character, you are only supposed to use this. If it is true or false, then you are supposed to use a data type called as boolean. D is at least true or false, something like this. Okay. So now let us write a small code on how to write the code for data types. Okay, so I'm just creating here, stating that class data types example. So I'm checking this box called as public static void main. If you don't want it to, you can write it manually. Okay, but it is a good habit if you are selecting this. I'm saying public static void main finish. Okay. Now, how can I write a code for data type? Any idea? Any suggestions that you want me to give on how to write? Okay. So let me write this data type. Okay. Now, always to make sure that the class is open. Okay. Now, data types example is a class name. Okay. Public is an access modifier where you'll be having public, private, protected, and default. Okay. All of these comes under access modifier. We'll see in the further sessions. Okay. So now the data type example is a class name. So before class name, there should be a keyword called as class for sure. So this is public static void main. So we'll be seeing regarding this. Now, if you're coming into the data types, I'll say int a is equals to 10. Okay. And then, so there is something called as double data types also, which means you'll be having primitive data types and non-primitive data types. Okay, I'll just explain that here. This is double. Now let's say I have char, where you'll be giving it as a character, which means a single alphabet. Okay, you are not supposed to enclose this in a double characters, being a characters. So now this is a string. So I'll say string B is something that is equal to ABC or hello, something like that. Okay, and this string S is not capital. Is S capital or not? Okay, so now if I observe, I'm getting this duplicate variable. Okay, also you need to understand if I give D is equals to 10.5. Okay, and if I'm still trying to give D is equals to something like 10. Okay, so what happens? The value will be updated automatically. So always it's a good practice to give different variables. Okay, I'll say string D1 is equals to ABC. Now, if you observe, I'm getting a warning here because it is saying these are the local variables. So why I'm saying this as local variable? Because this is inside the class. Okay, so the class is closed here. Okay, so within the class that is specified, then it is said to be a local variable. So it is telling me that this local variable is not used anywhere. So for that, system.out.println, let me print A. Then system.out.println, let me print D. System.out.println, let me print this C. And also do remember that Java is case sensitive. Okay, one thing which is an uppercase should be an uppercase, or something which is a lowercase should be of lowercase for sure. Okay, now let me show you some another. Now let's say you also have Boolean data type where you have to validate whether it is a true or false. Now why am I getting error? Because I did not declare any variable. So I'm not ordered println. I'll say E. Now let me run this. Run as Java application. It will tell you that all of these values will be printed. What is the value of A? 10 will be printed. What is the value of D? 10.5. What is the value of C? G. Next, ABC. Next, true will be printed. Now let me try to print So system.out.println, let me say capital A. Okay, instead of this A, small a, where 10 values stored, if I'm trying to use capital A, what is it saying? It is saying create a variable because we don't have any such kind of variables. So it is throwing an error. Now, let me use small a itself. Okay, but instead of the small, let me give the double quotes. So when I'm enclosing this with the double quotes, what happens is no matter what the value that is present, if you want to get the value, then you should not give double quotes. Okay, but if you need something which to be printed mandatorily in the console part, so let me show you the console part. So what's the console? This is your output console. Okay, see now for A in the 16th line, if you observe system.out.println A, it is printing the value. Why it is printing the value? Because I have stored it in a variable format. Okay, so then it is saying value 10 is printing. Now, when I'm saying A that is enclosed with the double quotes, what is happening? A is printed. Okay, so anything that is enclosed in a double quote will be printing you in the console part. Okay, so if you need only the values, you are not supposed to use the double quotes. Clear with this data types? Okay, so to make clear for you, we are having two types in data types. So one is primitive data types. Okay, so the another one is said to be non-primitive data types. So what is non-primitive data types is also called as derived data types. What is this? Derived data types. Okay, so non-primitive data type. Okay, so what is this primitive data types? So the data that we tried just now. Okay, example, integer, long, float, double, string, char, boolean, etc. Okay, so all of this comes under primitive data. Now let's say non-primitive data types. What will comes under this derived data types like array list, hash map, preset, okay, arrays, classes, interfaces. Okay, so these all comes under non-primitive data types. Why am I saying this as non-primitive data types? Any idea on why am I saying this as non-primitive data types? Is because this will also act as class name. Okay, these are something which is called as predefined classes are also available. Okay, so for that reason, these are said to be derived data types. We'll discuss this derived data types is a big concept. We'll discuss that in a further sessions. Okay, so hope you understand what is a data type, what is a variable, what are the values. So what are the primitive data types, what are the different kinds, what are the examples, and what is non-primitive data types. So hope you are clear with the data type session.